After an exhilarating 2-month stay in India, I flew from Mumbai to Kathmandu and spent an interesting 16 days in the Thamel neighborhood of Nepal's capital city. During the 2024 trip, I discovered that not all cities are ideal for extended stays. Some are perfect for a few days, but only a select few are suitable for lengthy stopovers. As I discovered, spending 16 days in Kathmandu with nothing particularly captivating to do might be a bit too long. So unless you have a compelling reason to be there, such as work, family, or trekking, it might be best to explore the sites and then move on. In this video, I'm going to review my stay in Kathmandu. And since I just finished my breakfast here at the Al Rizwan, I'm going to walk over to KLCC Park near the Petronas Towers and finish the review there. Let's go. I found my hotel on booking.com, as I usually do when I'm staying in a place for less than a month. I also booked it with the daily breakfast option. The hotel was quirky but comfortable. I had to go up to the 5th floor, actually the roof. I had to take the elevator to the roof and then go down a flight of stairs to get to my room. The Wi-Fi was good, the room was comfortable, and the breakfasts were tasty. So all in all, it was a good place to stay. If you're coming to Kathmandu as a tourist, then the Thamel area is probably where you want to be. It's jam-packed with lodging options, tourist activities and sites, and trekking outfitters. So you can't go wrong if you're there for a short stay or if you've never been there before. It's an interesting place to be. It's also the place where many of the outfitters use as staging area for some of the treks around the country. So if you've signed up for a trek with an outfitter there, you're probably going to be staying in one of the local hotels. And there's a full range of lodging options. You don't have to stay in a hotel like I did. I think it was a 3-star or something like that. There are some higher end hotels. There may be 1 or 2 in Thamel. I didn't see any, but I know that Nepal and Kathmandu has them. You just have to look for them. I'll leave a link in the description to the hotel that I stayed in. At the time of my visit, all foreign nationals, except those from India, needed a visa to enter Nepal. I filled out an arrival card online, and when I arrived, I took it to the immigration hall, paid $50 US. They put a sticker, a visa sticker, in my passport. I walked across the hall to the immigration counters and got my stamp, and bam, just like that, I'm in Nepal for 30 days. I forget whether it was required that you pay in cash or not, but if you fill out the card online, I'm sure they'll tell you then how the payment has to be made. If you do pay in cash, it's important to note that foreign bills must be in good condition. If you have old bills or if they have any tears or marks on them, they will not be accepted, not just at the immigration hall, but anywhere in Nepal. You can't use money that looks like it's been through better days in a foreign country and expect them to change it for you. They will accept only good condition, preferably new notes. It's also one of the reasons why I use an ATM to get currency rather than trying to change physical money. Speaking of money, like India and Sri Lanka, the Nepali currency is referred to as a rupee. At the time of my visit, $1 US was worth approximately 130 to 140 rupees. And if you watch any of my videos, I'm sure you're aware that the easiest way to get foreign currency when you're on a trip is through an ATM. I was only in Nepal for a short time, so I only used my ATM card once, but it worked flawlessly, no problems. When using a foreign ATM, I have 2 rules. The first is I only use an ATM that's located at a bank or one that's affiliated with a bank. If I'm in a foreign country, preferably that bank is large and well known. My second rule is I always decline the dynamic currency conversion. Always. There's no benefit to you and no sensible reason why you or anyone else would accept what technically is called a dynamic currency conversion. When you withdraw money at an ATM, it might be called something else. But anytime you see a question during the process that asks you if you want the local bank to convert the amount into whatever your home currency is, you should always say no or decline or whatever it is to have the bank not do that. Your home bank is going to make the conversion anyway, and allowing the dynamic currency conversion at the ATM site is just a way to charge you money twice. You're losing money when you do that. There's no benefit to you. Just say no. The only credit card I was able to use in Nepal was my Chase Visa. I couldn't find any place, or at least any place that I would frequent, that accepted American Express. And this included my hotel. Normally, I pay for my hotels using American Express because I pay for them online through Booking.com. This particular hotel didn't accept payment from Booking.com, and it wanted me to pay when I got to the hotel. I was hoping it would accept American Express, but it didn't. So I paid with the Chase Visa. I do have to report that I'm becoming increasingly disillusioned with my Amex point scheme. Although I am very happy with spending points, I was able to score a nice flight back to the United States, booking almost entirely with points. That's not the problem. The problem occurs on the other end where I'm trying to get points, because in order to get points in the first place, you have to be able to use the card. And so far on this trip, most of the spending I've done with a credit card has been in booking hotels or Airbnbs, and I do that online, either through Booking.com or through Airbnb. But when it comes to actually hanging around in a city and using an American Express card for just about anything, it's almost impossible to do unless you're at some fancy restaurant or a high spending store. And why I would buy anything at a place like that is beyond me. So I'm going to have to rethink how I score points on my next trip. I may be using a Chase card or a Visa card in future and replacing it with replacing my Amex card with a Visa card. But I have not made any decision yet. If you've watched any of my Nepal videos, then you know that navigating the narrow lanes of Thamel can be quite tricky. Cars, delivery vans, rickshaws, motorbikes, especially motorbikes, and pedestrians are all vying for space on the narrow lanes. So you have to watch where you're going. You always have to be paying attention to what's coming up behind you. You do eventually get used to it. It's not that you feel like you're under threat the whole time. But when I was out there on my first day, it was very uncomfortable. But at the second day, it got a little bit easier. But as you see from the videos, it's still not exactly what anyone would call safe. At the time I was there, Uber and Grab, my two go-to e-hailing apps, were not available in Nepal. If you do opt for commercial transport, however, there's tons of options. And if you need a ride or a taxi someplace or a ride to the airport, your hotel can arrange that for you. If you're dealing with individual drivers of the taxi, the van, or the rickshaw, or however you're planning to move, then you will be expected to negotiate the price. The first price quoted will always be a little bit higher, or in some cases a lot higher, than what you really should be paying. But no matter whether you negotiate or not, the first price that you're quoted, even though it's outside the expectation for a local person, it's still not a lot of money. So if you're uncomfortable negotiating prices, you don't really have to feel like you have to do it. When it comes to mobile data, I use eSIMs exclusively. I don't waste my time with buying physical SIM packages at the airport or anything like that. And I use Airlo as my eSIM app. For Nepal, there's only one package available. You don't really have a choice. It's 1 gigabyte for 7 days. And if you use that up, or if you're there for longer than 7 days, then you can buy another, what they call a top-up, but it's the same deal, 1 gigabyte, 7 days. It's not bad. It is a little bit more expensive than some of the other countries that I visited. In fact, 1 week with 1 gigabyte was $9 US. But that's how I do it. I don't mess around with physical SIMs. I always purchase an eSIM before I get to a country. Will I be going back to Nepal? I hope so. But if I do go back, I won't be staying in Kathmandu for 16 days again. I will be going back to Kathmandu and using it as a staging area for some Himalayan treks. Those are on my list, so I do want to do some trekking in the Himalayas. I've never done that before, and Nepal is well known for having dozens and dozens of those kinds of treks available. I'm not going to do it by myself. I'm going to go with an organized group, but if I do go, that's how I'm going to do it. A couple of days in Kathmandu, off on the trek, and then probably a couple of days in Kathmandu at the end before I leave the country. Well, you're probably wondering why I didn't go on a trek this time when I was in Nepal. Well, the main reason is it was the rainy season. There's no point in trekking through mud. Most of the trails were shut down, and I didn't see that many outfitters that were actually open for business. The other reason is, of course, that I really didn't prepare for it. I didn't bring any of the so-called gear that I might need on such a trek, even though, let's be reasonable, a lot of these treks could be done without any special outfits. But I didn't go this time, and that's the reason why. If you have any questions about Nepal, I might be able to answer them. Just leave a comment or a question in the comments below, and maybe I'll be able to help you out a little bit. But regardless, thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.